Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3197A, and today's date is October 26, 2023, and the title of the episode is 1932 Changed Everything. Fed gold is at zero. Gold destroys the Fed. Let's talk about your health. Did you know one of the leading reasons skin begins to sag or form wrinkles isn't necessarily because of old age, but because our bodies are missing out on essential collagen? You see, we produce 10% less collagen every decade once we hit 30, and that's a major reason behind those pesky wrinkles. Adding just a little collagen to your diet can have noticeable effects for your skin and youthfulness. Preferably, the sooner the better. That's why myself, along with tens of thousands of people, have turned to this cutting-edge new substance to help reduce visible lines of aging. It uses the top 5 most researched types of collagen, which is essential for skin health to support skin elasticity and skin hydration. These 5 collagen types are difficult to find on their own, but they're all included in every scoop. Just mix the serving with your favorite morning drink to give your skin the building blocks it needs to reignite a youthful glow. The best part I love is you get 53% off the rest of the month or until they sell out, whichever comes first. Plus, you'll also receive several additional gifts valued at over $500 free with every order for a limited time, including free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free new ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping. Get yours now by going to healthwithx22.com. That is healthwithx22.com, or click the link in the description. You won't regret it. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, they are now in big trouble. Why? Because I do believe the Patriots led them down this path, and this path is going to destroy them in the end. And you could see as the economic system completely implodes on itself, the central bank has been set up, and now they have no choice but to continue with their mission in destroying their own economic system. And yes, this is their central bank illusionary economy. And I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they set it up this way so they would take the bait, which they did, and they started to head down this path. And since they've been heading down this path, this is pretty much game over for them. And in the end, what is going to happen? Gold is going to destroy the Fed, because we could see that since the economy is imploding, inflation is hitting, people are seeing that the fiat currency isn't what everyone thought it was. It's losing value like crazy. This is how people see the truth. Add on top of all this, and they're watching the entire Green New Deal, and people around the world, they're starting to rise up, and they're starting to get pissed off, and they're starting to realize what's really going on here. Now, we can see that this has all been brought out so people could see this very, very clearly, because as we go to 2024 and as we head towards the presidential election, you can see the deep state players, the central bank, the World Economic Forum, they were put way, way behind schedule because they never expected her to lose. And I'm talking about Hillary Clinton. And Trump, he reversed a lot of the things that they did, and he set things up. And you could see that now they're in trouble. They are struggling right now. It might not seem like it because they're pushing their entire agenda by having Australia go cashless, having other nations say they're going to the central bank digital currency. But they did this before. This is just a repeat of the vaccine passport. This time around, I do believe we have a lot more control. We have the Patriots in Congress. I do believe that was set up for a block to block everything the deep state is trying to do. Everything the central bank, the World Economic Forum is trying to do. And since that block is in place, this is going to be very, very difficult for them. But you can see that there are nations that are moving forward with the climate agenda. And you really got to think about what they've done here. Because out in Russia, Putin has approved the new climate doctrine of the Russian Federation. And basically, they're going to hit carbon neutrality no later than 2060. Well, he's not going to be around. Who's going to follow through on this? This seems like one of those things like, you know what, let's just tell them that we're going to do this, and we'll push the date out to 2060, 2080. How about 2200? That sounds good. Well, we're going to be carbon neutral by then. Do you really think this is going to happen? Absolutely not. But you can see that the deep state players, the central bank, the World Economic Forum, they're pushing forward with their agenda. Right now, scientists want the WHO to declare the climate and nature crisis a global public health emergency. Is it really? I think the people are seeing through this. I think the people are starting to realize that this is one gigantic hoax. Everything that they've told us going all the way back, let's say to 1971, has been one gigantic lie. They told us, oh, back then we're going into an ice age, and they switched to global warming, then they switched to climate change. They said the seas are rising, the North Pole, the ice is melting, and everything's going to be a complete and utter disaster. None of this has come true. And from everything that they've been showing us, everyone should realize that everything they tell us, it's always the opposite. Now, what's very interesting, it looks like we're starting to get the figures of the true cost of fueling an electric vehicle. And Disclosed TV put this out and said, true cost of fueling an electric vehicle includes excess charging costs and subsidies is equal to $17.33 per gallon of gasoline. It shows that electricity is a long way from becoming a cost-effective transportation fuel compared to gasoline. And that's absolutely true. And Tom Fitton breaks it down for us. Electric vehicles getting nearly $50,000 in subsidies per vehicle. Electric vehicle owners have been the beneficiaries of regulatory credit subsidies and socialized infrastructure costs totaling nearly $50,000 per EV. These costs are borne by gasoline vehicle owners, taxpayers, and utility ratepayers who are all paying a hefty price for someone else's EV. Proponents of EVs have falsely pushed the claim that EVs will soon cost less than a gas-powered car. This study shows that EVs are still a long way from being competitive without massive subsidies. The Biden administration's stringent fuel economy standards and regulatory manipulations are driving American automakers toward bankruptcy and adding thousands of dollars to the cost of every gasoline vehicle. Rolling back these subsidies and burdensome regulations would save consumers money and stop the auto industry from falling off a financial cliff. Key points. The cost of producing electric vehicles is far higher than prices they are being sold for. Nearly $22 billion in federal and state subsidies and regulatory credits suppressed the retail price of EVs in 2021 by an average of almost $50,000. Thanks to an unlawful multiplier, EVs receive nearly 7 times more credits under federal fuel efficiency programs than they provide in actual fuel economy benefits. Regulatory credits with bonus EV multipliers from federal fuel efficiency and greenhouse gas emission standards and state EV sales mandates provide an average of $27,881 in benefits per vehicle for producers of EVs. Home and public charging stations used by EVs put a significant strain on the electric grid, resulting in an average of $11,833 in socialized costs per EV over 10 years, which are shouldered by utility ratepayers and taxpayers. Direct state and federal subsidies for EVs average $8,984 per vehicle over 10 years. So everything that they've been telling us is turning out to be one gigantic lie, as always. And who's paying for all of this? Oh, that's right, the American taxpayer once again. So once again, they're selling you a gigantic lie. The climate hoax is a lie. The EV, where we're making the world green again, is a lie. Everything that they're telling you is always the opposite. And every single time we learn more, it proves everyone right. That everything that they believed, everything that they thought, it shows that they are pushing an agenda. They are trying to bring us into the Great Reset, the Green New Deal, and it will not benefit the people of this country and the people of the world. And this is why you see farmers and people around the world fighting back. This is why you see them pushing back very, very hard, and they're starting to figure it out. Wall Street Silver on X put this out and said, farmers dumped tires, manure, and slurry in front of state buildings in Pau and Bayonne to protest against rising prices. French farmers are by far the best protesters in the world. This is expert level that other countries should strive to match. The people are getting pissed off. The Dutch farmers, they're starting to wake up. They're starting to realize what the World Economic Forum, the central bank, is really trying to do here. And they're saying, hey, you know something? I never wanted to believe it, but all those conspiracy theories, they're continually coming true. Control the food, control the people. The Dutch farmers are waking up. They're starting to realize that there's a global war on farming, and they're trying to control the food supply, which in turn controls the people. And now the people are starting to realize this. The people are starting to understand what is going on. Just like they're understanding how the economy is completely imploding on itself. No matter how the Biden administration is trying to frame this, where they don't like to mention the word recession, we are in a recession, and the entire system's coming tumbling down. And this is all under the watch of the Biden administration, the central bank, the World Economic Forum. There's no escaping it. And Trump set them up perfectly. They're going to take the blame for all of this. Let them keep saying everything is great. Let them tell everyone that jobs are plentiful, the economy is strong, because when everything falls apart, they're going to be standing there and the people are going to be looking at them going, you lied once again. And that is exactly what's going to happen. And you can see that everything's starting to fall apart. Let's talk about your health. Did you know one of the leading reasons skin begins to sag or form wrinkles isn't necessarily because of old age, but because our bodies are missing out on essential collagen? You see, we produce 10% less collagen every decade once we hit 30, and that's a major reason behind those pesky wrinkles. Adding just a little collagen to your diet can have noticeable effects for your skin and youthfulness. Preferably, the sooner the better. That's why myself, along with tens of thousands of people, have turned to this cutting-edge new substance to help reduce visible lines of aging. It uses the top 5 most researched types of collagen, which is essential for skin health to support skin elasticity and skin hydration. These 5 collagen types are difficult to find on their own, but they're all included in every scoop. Just mix the serving with your favorite morning drink to give your skin the building blocks it needs to reignite a youthful glow. The best part I love is you get 53% off the rest of the month or until they sell out, whichever comes first. Plus, you'll also receive several additional gifts valued at over $500 free with every order for a limited time, including free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free new ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping. Get yours now by going to healthwithx22.com. That is healthwithx22.com, or click the link in the description. You won't regret it. It doesn't mean every single corporation falls apart at the same time, but we're starting to see the cracks right now. Genevieve Roekdechter on X put this out, says tech stocks have lost plus $200 billion since reporting earnings. Despite mostly beating earnings, these stocks are getting hammered. And yes, you're going to see a lot of stocks get hammered. I mean, so far, Microsoft is beating, but Meta, Tesla, Alphabet, they're all down in the dumpers. And this is going to get worse and worse as time goes on. Remember going back to 2008 when Bernanke was out there telling everyone everything is fine, stock market's strong, real estate's strong, they're not predicting any type of recession, and we had a recession and the market crashed in that same exact year? Well, I think people are starting to realize that these people continually lie to them. And people could see it with their own 2 eyes. They can experience it because they understand what's going on here, especially when they start to talk about the GDP, inflation, and everything else. And EJ Antonio, he decided to clear all this up, saying that, yeah, what they're telling you is not exactly true. And this is the thread he put out. Here's plain English thread on the latest GDP numbers and why this is totally unsustainable. Oh, yeah, and inflation's not dead. Real GDP jumped 4.9% in the third quarter. But what's fueling the rise versus what's not growing speaks volumes about the economy trajectory. The key driver of economy growth, real private fixed investment, is flat since Q1 2022. The residential side is even worse, with real private investment, they're remaining below pre-pandemic level, signaling housing market shortages will continue. If fixed factories, machine, etc. investment had almost no growth last quarter, where'd the investment surge come from? Inventories, firms stocked up to avoid future price increases, which contributed a whopping 1.32% points to the GDP, or 27% of Q3 growth. So that adds to today's GDP, but subtracts from tomorrow and doesn't add to long-run growth, kind of like government spending, which accounted for almost 1/5 of economic growth last quarter and is growing faster than consumer spending and has been last 5 quarters. But it's good that consumer spending is growing fast, right? Not in this case, because the rise in real spending is fueled by depletion of savings and going into debt once again. This is not sustainable, and real disposable income fell again last quarter. And inflation isn't dead, not by a long shot. The price index for GDP doubled from the previous quarter, 3.5% versus 1.7% pre-pandemic. That's the highest rate since 2007. This GDP report is a classic case of short but unsustainable burst in economic growth, indicators still pointing to downturn next year, and the exploding federal deficit is going to compound the problem. Treasury already borrowed $500 billion this month alone. Buckle up. And he's absolutely right. And yes, they love playing with numbers. They love the manipulation. But in the end, what's going to happen is everything's going to completely fall apart. And people, I think they're waking up to this. And how do we know this? Well, Rasmussen Reports put this out and said, adults with a full-time job. Over the past 2 years, has your income kept up with the rate of inflation? 40% say yes. 55% say no. 5% say not sure. So 55% of the people are saying, yeah, it's not keeping up with inflation. What do you think is going to happen in 2024? You think inflation is just going to disappear? No, it's going to continue where it's going. It's not going to stop. Here's the other question. Have you worked more hours or taken an extra job to help keep up with inflation? 51% said yes. 47% said no, not sure, 2%. These percentage numbers are going to rise like we've never seen before. Because, again, the Biden administration, the Fed, the Treasury, they can manipulate all of this. They can continually manipulate the unemployment numbers, the GDP numbers, the inflation numbers, telling us inflation's back to normal. It makes no difference because the real data is when people are living, when people go out to shop, when people fill up their car, when people realize that the currency that they're getting, their paycheck, it's not going that far. When they lose their job, they realize this. When the market isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing and it starts to fall apart. See, people can see all of this. So no matter what they say, no matter what they do, it's not going to work because the people see through all of this. And this is when you see the polls that are being put out there, this is why you see the percentage numbers continually moving up because people are experiencing this every single day. So if people know this, and we go through 2024 and the entire economic system completely and utterly falls apart. And Biden continually says that everything is great. And the Fed says everything is great. And the Treasury says everything is great. And Trump is on the other side telling everyone that it's not that great. We're heading into a depression. We're in a recession right now. Who do you think the people are going to believe? Is this going to hurt the central bank in the end? Yes, it's going to hurt the central bank in the end. And this is not the only thing that's going to hurt the central bank. It looks like going back in time, the good guys were always manipulating and trying to bring down the Fed. And I do believe we're at that point where they thought, okay, now is the time to do it. Because the Fed, we're going to bring the entire central bank system, the Fed and the rest, to a point where they are the weakest. And once we get them to the point where they're the weakest, we can move in for the kill. Now, what's very interesting about the Fed is if you go back in time before Glass-Steagall Act of 1932, this allowed the Fed to borrow against a broader range of collateral. Its balance sheet consisted mainly of gold. As its size has mushroomed over the decades, it has also deteriorated in quality, consisting of more assets of riskier nature. The Fed was willing to buy high-yield corporate debt during the pandemic, while the proportion of gold held has fallen to near zero. That trend is set to continue as the balance sheet increasingly becomes subservient to the government's borrowing needs, leaving the dollar facing no escape from its multi-decade debasement, which means if the Fed doesn't have gold, because since 1932, they decided to take their funds and put it in other places and they didn't care about gold and they depleted their gold. What do you think is going to happen when everything completely and utterly implodes, when we see inflation completely out of control? Well, they don't have any gold, which means they'll be in trouble, which means gold will then destroy the Fed. Because think about what gold and Bitcoin are doing right now as everything completely falls apart. They're holding steady or moving or inching up. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And I do believe as the system completely implodes on itself, I think we're going to see Bitcoin, gold continually move up. Now, is the deep state, the central banks, are they going to try to keep these currencies down? Of course they are. Are they going to dump a lot of Bitcoin or try to dump a lot of Bitcoin to lower the price? Of course they are. Are they going to try to put out bad news to drop the value? Of course they are. Are they going to do the same thing with gold? Yes, they used the paper market for that. They've done this for a very long time, actually a lot longer that with gold than Bitcoin. But you could see they don't want people moving to other currencies because remember, their entire goal from the very, very beginning is to bring everyone into the central bank digital currency. And if you're going to bring everyone into the central bank digital currency, you can't have alternative currencies on the sidelines. You can't give people choices. You only can have the people choose one thing, and that's the central bank digital currency. But the people don't have one choice. The people have multiple choices today. And this is something they do not want. And that's why I do believe with the new speaker and the Patriots who prove that they can control the uniparty, I do believe they have been put in there as a block because when everything comes down the pike in 2024, they will be there to stop everything the central bank, the deep state, is going to try to do. Remember, they're trying to usher in the Great Reset, the Green New Deal. If this was a Rhino Congress or a Democratic Congress and these people were subservient to their masters, they would just say, all right, central bank digital currency, everyone. Okay, Green New Deal, everyone. This is the direction we're heading in. But since we have a change now, and the Patriots have shown that, listen, we're not going to do what you want, and we're going to continually push against you, I do believe these individuals, they are the guards of what this, and they're going to be guarding and protecting and blocking everything the central bank, the World Economic Forum, is going to try to do. And I do believe this was done on purpose. Just like going back in time, the Senate was the target. I do believe the House was the target and the Speaker was the target to make sure that we had, and I'm talking about the Patriots, control of this entire situation. Because you need to remember, there's already bills in Congress to go back to sound money, which is gold. There's already bills in there to block the central bank digital currency. And when they see the entire economic system completely implode on itself, and they see the central bank, the World Economic Forum, and the rest pushing events to scare the people into going in the direction they want them to go in, I do believe these individuals, they're going to say, absolutely not. We have a better plan. And I do believe Trump and the Patriots, in the background, somehow, some way, they're helping them along this journey. And I do believe this whole thing is about to change. I do believe that we're going to be moving to sound money. And Trump, he led the deep state, the central bank, the World Economic Forum down this path. So this way they can destroy themselves in the process. And that's exactly what they're doing. And once they're at their weakest, Trump and the Patriots, the people of this country, they have the leverage. They have the power to make change.